This video brought to you in part by these fantastic Patreons. Patreons are the lifeblood and the backbone of this channel and help with cool things like the giveaway in the description. But let's get into the video. Hey guys, what is up and welcome to the channel. I'm the Shotgun Shogun, and today we're going to be going over the patch notes and all of the information that came out this morning for Epic 7, including the Guilty Gear collab, tons and tons of packs, molas as far as the eye can see. So first off, let's talk about the MolaGora challenge. This one's going to be very typical. You do have to have cleared 6-1 in order to go into this. However, this is going to be just your typical one-shot, boom, get yourself a mola. These are always very highly sought after for me, just because you get that little bit of root butt right there. Now, this is just one of many molas that we are going to be seeing throughout this event. So moving on to the servants, and I did get a little bit bamboozled. I did not think that Badguy would be the free servant. However, really awesome kit, and I think it'll actually be really good for a lot of people to have him, because he's going to make PvP a little bit more interesting, and seeing as everybody can get a copy of him, it should help out a lot of people, and the meta is going to have to shift to pretty much assuming that everybody's going to have this guy. But let's first talk about the character that I am probably most hype about. I know a lot of people are hype about Dizzy, Badguy. I am hype about Baiken. Baiken and the Torn Sleeve CE artifact. You're gonna see me cross over a lot into FGO stuff, so I'm sure that there will be a lot of complaints about that, as there always are. But Baiken and the Torn Sleeve artifact. Now, I did assume that Baiken was going to be a limited servant. We are going to get the 120 summon safety net on this, so that is good. However, do kind of dislike that while I'm rolling for her, I can't be spooked by any other 5 stars, but I'll take what I can get. So not only do I absolutely love her character aesthetic, but I looked at these skills a little bit earlier this morning, and I've been throwing around some things in my head. I really like this character. She's like a mix of Karen and Surin, just kind of shoved into one. Yeah, she doesn't have a defense break, but let's hop into this. She is going to be a grass thief. She is going to be really going with the bleed effects. Now, her S1 attacks the enemy repeatedly with a 45 to 70% chance to inflict 2 bleed effects for 2 turns, and a critical hit will reduce her cooldowns by 1 turn. Her S2, with a cooldown of only 4 turns, is going to attack the enemy with expert swordsmanship with a 55 to 80% chance of inflicting 3 bleed effects for 2 turns. Now, I'm just going to go with the awakening one, because you're going to have her awakened anyways. A critical hit will grant an extra turn. Now, on this, you are going to want to have 100% critical chance, so that you can pop this second skill, drop some bleeds, and then either go immediately into the next skill, or you can come and stack a couple more bleeds with the first skill. Now, her S3 is like Surin's, deliver a deadly blow, detonating any bleed effects inflicted on the enemy at the end of the turn. A critical hit increases the combat readiness of all allies by 15 to 25%. So, and the soul burn just further increases that damage. Now, not only is she going to be able to drop bleeds with her second skill and get an extra turn, but you can detonate those immediately and CR push with the third skill. Now, I'm seeing if you're going to be running her in PvP, you could have her be a little bit slow, maybe run her with a Shadow Rose, so that Shadow Rose pushes them back, pushes you forward. You drop a defense break, you have maybe a haste, maybe another Surin to put some extra bleeds on there, and then you just immediately blow up one target. pushing you even further. Now, depending on what type of team you're going against, that CR push could pretty much give you maybe a whole extra turn, depending on how far you push them back and how slow they are, letting you come right back through and clean up another 1, 2, you know, however many people in PvP. So I think that she's gonna be a bit of a sleeper hit. I've seen some videos from the demo of her doing upwards of like 32 to 36,000 damage to Banshee off of just her S3. So it will be interesting to see, but we didn't know really what the gear was on that. So it'll be interesting to see how people use her. I've already seen people in the Reddit and the Discords being like, bah, she's garbage, she's limited, and she's terrible. I really think that people need to calm down and wait until the character comes out before they really assess her, because she is limited. I feel like even if she's not fantastic, we'll see something like the TAM buffs where they'll come back, retool a few things. But to be fair, a lot of people thought the DN was garbage when she first came out as well. So take everything people say with a grain of salt, but I think that she is going to be very fantastic. You're going to be able to stack bleeds on bleeds on bleeds, team her up with a haste and a Saren, and you're just going to have so many debuffs on an enemy that they're just going to get one shot. So moving on to the artifact that's going to be coming with this, you like bleeds, we gave you some more bleeds. Torn Sleeve is going to give you a 50% chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns after a single attack. Max this bad boy out and you are going to get a 100% chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns after a single attack. Now, one of the questions that I have on that is, and maybe somebody can answer this for me, but do effects like this on artifacts, do these get hit by your effectiveness and their effect resist? Or is it 100% chance because of the artifact? If anybody can answer that for me in the comments, that would be fantastic. So that's Baiken, and that is the limited artifact for this crossover. I know I'm going to absolutely be rolling for her 100% without question. I don't know how many copies I'm going to get. I'm going to see how nice the gacha is to me, because I do want to save for Dizzy, which we should be getting in 2 weeks from now. So really look forward to some information on that at some point in the next 2 weeks. We probably should get it right before the next patch opens. Now, the limited time collab special packs. Now, they don't have a price out on these, but I would almost guarantee that the pack 2 is 100 and the pack 1 is 50. So you're looking at $150 for these if you are in the States, and if you are not taxed. If you're in Canada, I know it's a bit rougher if you're outside of the country. So what are you getting? 1,500 Sky Stones, 3 million gold, 50 leaves, 3 mallows, 2 Moonlight summons, and 70 bookmarks for $100. Now, personally, I think that is actually really, really good. Like, all of that together for $100 is just so good. I'm 100% gonna buy it. Even the pack 1 at $50 for 2 molas, 25 leaves, a 4 to 5 star hero, and 30 bookmarks and 1 million gold. If you are going to spend and you know buy the buy one get one, and if you can splurge, throw a little bit down on these, because I think that is a really good deal. Plus, molas are always welcome. So if you do the challenge, if you buy both of these, you're sitting on 6 molas right there. Now, what do we got? The special check-in event. Guess what? There's going to be another mola out of this. Not only are we going to get 1 million gold, we're going to get a catalyst pack, a 4-star doggo, 4 leaves, mola, and 30 bookmarks after 7 days, which, I mean, is nothing to scoff at. Oh, and you immediately start out with 200 energy, which will literally be burnt almost immediately on the collab. So that's 7 molas out of this. You got 30 bookmarks after 7 days. So if you tried for Baiken and you didn't get it, well, you've always got that 7-day 30 bookmarks. Now, Mola pack as well. So I think Mola packs are usually $50. Bam, 9 more molas, 3,000 stigma, and 800 sky stones. They really know how to just absolutely destroy your wallet on the regular basis. So let's get into the meat of this collab. This is going to be visitors from another world. So the Guilty Gear collab is going to be running from the 24th to the 22nd. We're going to get a month of Guilty Gear collab. That's why I'm going to say that Dizzy's going to come out in 2 weeks, because you'll have a split. You'll have 2 weeks of this banner, then 2 weeks of the Dizzy banner to finish it out. And I would almost guarantee, because we've seen Ino, but we haven't heard anything about whether or not she's going to be playable or anything like that. We might see an Ino artifact. We could just get spooked, and we might get an Ino welfare servant on the next half, but we haven't seen anything. They've been teasing like, hey, these are the 3 playable characters. Maybe they will drop the Ino and just be like, boom, bet you didn't see that one coming, haha. But we could also get her as an artifact of some sort as well. So typical side story, you're gonna go in, you're gonna have the tournament, the prologue that you can watch the story, then rep and exchange. Now, they haven't said anything really about the tournament. I'm actually kind of interested to see what information that we get out of that. So the side story has 4 chapters, and each week 1 chapter will be open. That's why 3rd chapter there, as you can see, is Dizzy's story. So we're going to have the Soul Bad Guy story. We're going to have the Baiken story. Dizzy will be on Raid Up with her story, and then we'll have the final story there. Now, one of the things that kind of makes me think that Ino will be an artifact or just something in the game is that if you look at that final story graphic there, you only see Soul Bad Guy, Baiken, and Dizzy. There is no Ino, which kind of disappoints me, mostly because I was very much looking forward to making a girl group in game. Ino, kind of lame, but you will have the typical side story stuff where you've got all of the different levels. Now, if you can farm on hard or hell, that's going to be your most efficient in order to clear out these side shops. And these side shops are going to be very, very tasty. Now, this is going to be like the Bell Litica one, the Valentine's Day one, where you're going to get hints on where you need to go. Some of the other ones have had stuff like that. Really not super hard to figure out. Just clear certain missions a bunch of times. Pretty easy. You're going to have some enhanced heroes. Obviously, the Guilty Gear collab heroes, the Raid Up heroes are always going to have the most. Now, 30%, you're going to have Crow, Asaria, Yuno, Ludwig, Falconeer, Clary, and Cartusia. I wish that it was Assassin Cartusia. Maybe it will be. Who knows? Maybe they just didn't put it in there. We are going to have additional artifacts. So if you do have Torn Sleeve, if you do have Junkyard Dog, which we're going to be talking about here in a minute, those will give you enhanced drop rates. So I know personally, I am going to, if I get Torn Sleeve, which I'm hoping that I can get a couple copies, I'm going to level that up immediately because I like those bleeds. I want those bleeds. You're going to have 3 event currencies: Shattered Record Fragments, Ribboned Hairbrushes. These are going to be the ones that are going to be for the side shop. Now, Token for the Chosen is going to be a token that you can use to enter the tournament. So what are we going to get for the event currencies? And the thing too is, this is probably going to be one of those things where Shattered Record Fragments will be your first week story, Ribboned Hairbrushes will be your second week story, and then we're going to get something on the 3rd and 4th, but those will come out in the future. Now, you can pick up 3 copies of Soul Bad Guy right now. So you'll get one from Shattered Records, you'll get one from Ribbon Hairbrushes, and you get one from the Reputation Rewards. So we will probably see 2 more as we go into the next parts of the story. with 3 more so that you can SSS everything. So we'll also have the artifact Junkyard Dog, which we won't be able to finish out until the end as well. So those are actually going to cost quite a bit, and I would personally suggest saving up so that you can just immediately get Soul Badguy. Start leveling him up. He's going to do more damage. Junkyard Dog almost immediately after. You might actually want to get Junkyard Dog ahead of time, so that way you can farm a bit faster. Now, I know people are just going to be like, boom, immediately get both and then move through everything else. We are going to be getting 2 additional molas out of this just from the 2 shops. Now, we're going to be getting... we're going to get frost fragments from the second one, and we're going to get life fragments from the first one. Now, not really too sure on why they did that. We'll probably get fire and maybe something else in the next 2, but seemed like a little weird. I think they're doing the life ones because Baiken is grass, so they want you to be able to get your runes, get your penguins, and then get her leveled up as fast as possible. But black curse powder, carapace, sharpened spearheads, which I think I've got like 80 of, the typical Giga Phantasm, the artifact charms, and then the gold out of that. So then the next one's going to be Horn of Desires, Blazing Rage, Shiny Enchantment, which actually I need quite a bit of, so I am super excited to see 12 in the shop on this one. And then your typical, and then we'll have the ice fragments, and then we'll have the ice runes as well. You also get bookmarks out of both of these, so you're going to be getting 15 bookmarks out of both of those just for running these. Now, reputation rewards, you're going to get a bunch of leafs, obviously, gold, rare catalyst chest, charms, but once you get down here, you're going to get a copy of Junkyard Dog. Now, you're going to get a second copy of Junkyard Dog in here as well as your 5-star Soul Badguy. Now, by the time that you get through all of this, you very well might be able to just buy one. I don't know if the fine I'll put up with you is maybe the end of the initial story. Then that way you just have him, you can start leveling him up, and then you can buy the rest of the copies afterwards. Now, one thing of note here is that I would wait until you get all of the copies of Soul Badguy to break him to 6 stars, because you can use the same copies of him in order to break them. Don't have to use dogs or anything like that. So definitely sit on those copies until you have all of them. Free 6-star right there. It will take you some time, and I know you want to use him right this second, but that would be my suggestion on that one. Achievements for all of them is a gold transmit stone, and who doesn't want to be a little bit closer to your next Moonlight summon? Now, where did you go? Update content. Okay, so let's talk about Soul Badguy, since we've been talking about him. Not only is that a super fantastic looking punch there, but taking a look at him in general now, I'm kind of upset that he doesn't have his any of his installs, anything like that. I think that would have been kind of fun. But Flame Elemental Warrior, which I don't think we actually have too many of out there. First skill, Gun Flame, attacks the enemy with a fire pillar. Damage dealt increases if the enemy isn't buffed. Gains fighting spirit when a critical hit is made. So you're going to want to put some crit on him so that you're getting that fighting spirit. Number 2 is a passive. Counterattacks and silences for 2 turns when an enemy uses a non-attack skill, or when the caster isn't attacked by an elite or boss monster. Damage dealt increases proportional to the enemy's max health. Can only activate once every 2 turns. Now, the thing about this is you're not going to be silencing boss monsters unless there is a mechanic that actually makes it so that he will be able to somehow silence boss monsters. Now, elite monsters, completely different realm there, but if he has something where he can silence boss monsters, that is going to be super, super broken. The counterattack alone is going to be really good, but the silence I don't think is going to really do too much. Take things like a Golem, Golem 11, he's going to be attacking everything, so at least every 2 turns you will get a counterattack. I actually think that this dude is going to absolutely dunk on Golem 11. Now, the Roman cancel, if Fighting Spirit is 100 at the end of an ally's turn, the caster consumes all Fighting Spirit before extending the duration of a buff and being granted an extra turn. What? I don't know if this is a bad translation, but it seems like he just gets to take another turn. Caster consumes all Fighting Spirit before extending the duration of a buff and being granted an extra turn. So I guess we'll have to see how this works in game, because yeah, I really don't know. Maybe it's extending the buff of like one of his buffs. Maybe it's one of the other allies' buffs. I'm not 100% sure. Kind of interesting. We'll see how that works. Smilegate, translate your skills a little bit better. Number 3, S3, the Tyrant Raver Beta. Dispels an enemy's buffs with a strong punch, making them unable to be buffed for 2 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to the enemy's max health. Soulburn ignores effect resist. Now, one of the things that I really like is skills that increase damage proportional to enemies' max health, because the first time I ever saw Belle, I was like, wait, hold up. So she does more damage the beefier the enemy is. And it's like, well, yeah. Now you see things like Belle just doing ridiculous crit damage, because if you go up against bosses, you go up against really beefy characters, you are doing just so much more damage because they have more hit points. So this one will be really interesting to see with the counterattack, with the S3. Now, like I said, I don't think, kind of like the silence, I don't think that you were going to be really doing much with the unable to be buffed on bosses, but we'll see if that carries over. Worst case, even on bosses, just doing that extra amount of damage is going to be really good, and dispelling their buffs. I know that there's some bosses where you can't dispel their buffs, but there's a lot of bosses that you can, so this is going to be really powerful. Now, one of the things I was talking to people about before making this video is how he is going to work in PvP. You can immediately come through, and if you make him very fast, you can just stop buffs on one person. Not only that, but you're going to be doing quite a bit of damage to them. Now, this would be in the case of like a bruiser team. Let's say bruiser team, not only are you stripping all of their buffs, but you're doing extra damage, and you're making them unbuffable for 2 turns. This is going to be really good at setting up a train, running a train on a character. Volcanic Viper means that, let's say they rock a DN first turn, she's going to put up the anti-critical, he's going to stop her and silence her for 2 turns. Guess what? You're not putting up your shield for 2 turns, honey. So really, I think in PvP he's going to be really good. Now you can go S3 and then come in and hit with S1, dealing extra damage if they're not buffed, and I think that he's going to be in a lot of teams, so people are going to have to start playing around him, whether you bring something to straight counter him, how you do that, maybe bait out an initial buff so that he silences somebody who you really don't care about, so that you can get the rest of your buffs off in order to come through and destroy him. But I think that it'll be interesting to see how he changes the landscape of PvP, and how people really react to it. Now, I don't think that he's as OP as like, you know, an Assassin Cartusia, Moonlight Ken, C Armin, you know, Ruru, any of those people, but it is going to be really cool to see just kind of how he is dealt with and the things that he's going to bring to the table. Now you see Baiken's S3 down there. And I just can't wait to get that out. But we've already talked about Baiken. Let's talk about the two Moonlight heroes that are coming to the game as well. Baal and Rin, Moonlight version. If you read his hero background, he is super creepy. S1 summons evil spirit with 50% to 75% chance to put an enemy to sleep. Fantastic. Make him a sleepy boy. CC. I love CC. S2 attacks all enemies by summoning storm clouds with an 85 to 100% chance to dispel 2 buffs and a 65 to 80% chance to put them to sleep. If this skill is available, increase the caster's combat readiness by 15 to 25% at the end of the enemy's turn. Now, that right there is really crazy just in general. So not only are you going to get rid of 2 buffs, so if you do make him a speed boy, you can just strip buffs right at the beginning and then put everybody to sleep. Everyone. That is super good for CCing anybody in PvP. Yeah, because he's definitely going to be a PvP unit. I don't think that like dispelling and putting things to sleep is going to be too much of a PvE skill, but who knows? We don't know, you know, what raids and stuff like that are going to come out in the future, what kind of content. Maybe you will have to CC things, but who knows? The big thing for me on this too is if this skill is available, if it is off cooldown, increase the caster's combat readiness by 15 to 25% at the end of the enemy's turn. So that means that you don't have to build him crazy speedy. Let a couple people go. You can put him in a semi-tanky team, wait until they've put all of their buffs up, and then you strip everything and put them to sleep. So as they go, he's going to increase his combat readiness. Honestly, if you're not going to use that, I would almost say just keep it up all the time. Every time the enemy goes, as far as I'm aware, he's going to just go faster and faster and faster and get off a ton of turns. This is on a 3-turn cooldown too, which is really low cooldown. Now his S3 is going to be Eye of Death, and this looks super cool. Do I have a thing up here? Check this out. Yeah. Just I love this. Like, boom. Eye lasers, man. So his S3, Eyes of Death, attacks with an evil eye, recovering the caster to max health. If the enemy is defeated, damage dealt is increased proportional to the amount of caster's lost health. Now, one of the cool things about this is, let's say that you are using him in PvP. They are a cleave team, they get to go first. However, they don't finish him off. Guess what? Boom, you hit Eyes of Death, kill one person, you are back to full health. Come back through, sleep them. Who knows, man? I think that this guy is going to be really good, and I'm interested to see how people build him in PvP. I can almost see him maybe tanky, maybe in a bruiser team to just do like real heavy control. I've always really been a big fan of control teams, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he's used. I'm not looking forward to using him because I know that I am not going to be able to pull him. RIP. The one that I do want, though, is Crescent Moon Rin. Moon Tiara Power. Her S3 is a little bit graphically meh, but let's talk about these skills. And these skills are insanely good. Not only is she the cuter, edgier version of Rin with the same gravity defying assets, but her S1 attacks the enemy with a ring, granting a random buff to the caster for 1 turn. Soulburn grants a random buff to all allies for 2 turns. Now this is pretty cool. Now it doesn't when I originally was looking at this the other day, and I think that they might need to change the in-game description, because when I was looking at it on stream, it said grants a random buff to all allies. Now, I thought that every time she was doing it, she was granting random buffs to all allies, which was super broken. Even soul burn wise, just granting a random buff to all allies is going to be really good. But just granting herself random buffs is going to be crazy as well. So the next one is going to be Eye Catcher. Attacks the enemy with a lavish dance, stealing 2 buffs and granting their effects to all allies. Now this one is going to be going to every ally. So let's say DN goes first. Boom. Oh, attack up and critical chance down. Guess what? That's mine. You take it off of the person that you want to blow up. Give it to all of your allies. The other thing too is steal their immunity, give immunity to everybody else. But if you do want immunity, Curtain Call crosses rings to attack the enemy, dispelling all of the target's buffs before granting immunity to all allies for 2 turns. Caster is granted an extra turn if the target's buffs have been dispelled. So you are going to want to make sure that you are running heavy effectiveness on her, because you do want to get that dispel off. So like I said, let's say you've got DN or somebody, boom, they run in an immunity set. Guess what? That's now mine. I stole that immunity. All of my dudes have immunity. We've got whatever buffs. In Soviet Russia, we have all of your buffs. We have seized the means of buff production. So this is going to be really huge. I actually think that she's going to change literally the entire landscape of PvP from an offensive team side. So you're going to want to run speed. You're going to want to run hit on her. She actually does have one of the highest base speeds in the game. And she is up there with like Sid and a whole bunch of other just super speedy characters. So you can just immediately snatch that immunity and run her on a very tanky team. Guess what? Bam, immunity. Don't care if you, like I said, you're up against a DN, steal that, steal the crit and attack. Now you're immune. Now you're not taking as much damage, and you can follow up with even more damage. So the Collab artifact, I know we're kind of bouncing around on things here, but Junkyard Dog is going to be really cool too. So you like burns, man, Junkyard Dog's got you covered, and you're gonna get a max limit broken copy of this just by doing the event. So you can, at level 1, 25% chance to burn the enemy for 2 turns after using a basic skill. Now, one of the things that is interesting to me here is that unlike Torn Sleeve, which says a 50% chance to inflict a bleed for 2 turns after using a single skill, if you do... Actually, you know what? Never mind. I don't think that there's any warriors out there that have AoE attacks. I was thinking Vildred and I was thinking Thief, and in my head earlier, I was like, man, if you do an AoE basic attack, oof. Now, that's not to say that any warriors in the future might not have an AoE, but I don't think it's very typical. If there are any warriors that do have an AoE, let me know, because that would be absolutely broken. 50% chance to burn anybody on an AoE basic attack? Insanity. I can't imagine that they would do that. But still, 50% chance to burn an enemy for 2 turns. Burn is super good, because burn is a percentage of their health, whereas bleed is a percentage of your attack, which on Baiken, I do think that you're probably going to want to run pure attack instead of rage, because the bleed will, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that the bleed does not work as well with rend as it would attack, if you're going for the bleed damage anyways. And the way S3 should work is that it would detonate all of the bleeds for the remainder of their damage, so you would want to stack attack, maybe. I don't know. Rend might do more, because I know that that's based off of damage, but it's something that maybe I'll cover a little bit later. But Junkyard Dog is going to be really good. I'm actually half tempted to half level 2 of them up, and then use the dust shop items so that I have 2 limit broken copies, because I would love to run 2 warriors just firing off bleeds on the regular, so might be a thing that I do. So there you guys have it, visitors from another world. We've went over all of this stuff down here that we covered, and we went over the heroes that we're going to be getting. I will be rolling for Baiken tonight, a little bit after the window, after the maintenance is done, because everyone knows that as soon as the servers go up, the real boss is the connecting monster. So I'm going to try to give it about an hour before I roll, and we'll be doing that on my over here on the YouTube channel. So set yourself a reminder or check back and take a look at it. But there you go, guys. That was the overview of the patch. I am really excited for this. Lots of stuff to do, and it does kind of suck because I'm in the middle of a whole bunch of other gacha games that are having big events as well. So rip my sleep schedule. If you guys did like this, let me know and I will cover the patches more often. I would like to get into more Epic 7 stuff, as a number of you have indicated that you would like me to cover servants, heroes, in-depth strategies, stuff like that. I've been having a lot of fun PvPing, things like that. So let me know down in the comments what you guys would like to see me cover, and if you just like this format of patch notes, I can easily knock these out and give you my opinions on things whenever we get patch notes. But anyways, guys, would like to thank all of the Patreons who help make this channel possible. There is a link down in the description if you would like to join them. But if you want to just help out the channel, just smash that subscribe button, smash that bell notification, drop me a like, a comment, and I will catch you after the patch. Peace.